Welcome back, everybody. So, today in our live stream, we're going to delve into a topic that's pretty popular. I think it's trendy and trending now, and there's a lot of people freaking out about it in reality. And it's funny that I say in reality because the topic of today's chat is the metaverse. And this is a good opportunity to kind of get a good grounding in what the metaverse is and a few other topics about it. So we're going to answer 5 questions that I've written down on my sheet of paper here. So, what is the metaverse? How long has the metaverse been around? How can I experience the metaverse? How does Facebook fit into the metaverse, particularly since they changed their name to Meta? Is it coincidence? I don't think so. And then, what is the future of the metaverse? All right. So, to get started, first question is, what's the metaverse? Well, the metaverse is an online platform, and it's not just one thing. Metaverse is kind of like saying universe or the world. What makes up the world? So the metaverse is pretty much any piece of software or game that lets you create some kind of reality, some kind of world that you can participate in. And if you think about it, this concept has been around for a very, very long time. Probably graphically, in any event, the first metaverses were, your big, massive online role-playing games, your MMOs. So things like Asheron's Call. But even before that, you had persistent worlds, and persistent means that they stick around. So you're not a nameless kind of person playing some game and it comes and goes and it's gone. It's a game where you can log in and you have an identity, a game or a world or something like that, where you have an identity and maybe you can build buildings and have a landscape that when you log out and you come back into, you can see it again. And the other people that participate in this same world can log in and see that as well. And that goes to the next level of being able to interact with each other. I'm going to show my age a little bit here, and as that I'm pushing up on 50, I can remember when the internet, back when the internet was young, when it first was getting going, and I was in college, studying computer science. There was a very popular thing called MUDs, multi-user dungeons, and you could create accounts and log in. It was all text based, and you could chat with friends and go and swashbuckle monsters and go through mazes and stuff. But the world was persistent, meaning that they built these little rooms and they had descriptions and you could learn how to navigate from room to room, like walking down streets and stuff. And it was always the same when you logged out and logged back in. Your character would hang around and your friends would hang around too. So you could get on at the same time. And no matter where you were, if you had access to internet, and it was a different kind of thing back then. It's much more ubiquitous now than it is at that time, but it was still foundationally the same as what the metaverse is going to mean today and tomorrow and the next day. So that's what the metaverse is. It's a world that you can somehow experience that's not the world of reality. It's some kind of computer generated, whether it's got graphics or not. Now, as time goes by, that definition is shifting and becoming more of it's a 3D world. So you'll want to have goggles and that kind of stuff. But we'll get to that in a minute. Now, next question is, how long has the metaverse been around? Well, I kind of answered that in the first question. I would say that the metaverse kicked off somewhere around 91, 2, 3, something like that, with MUDs, maybe even a little bit earlier than that. There could have been some bulletin board stuff a little bit earlier than that, where you could dial in with the modems, and it wasn't the internet as we know it today per se, but it's kind of the beginnings of everything. So the multiverse has been around a very, very long time, and there are many different ways that you can participate in the multiverse. So next question is, how can you experience the multiverse today? Now, this is pretty interesting because, if you think about it, there are lots of different ways that we all experience the multiverse already. If you think about things like Zoom meetings and WebEx meetings and that kind of stuff, there are certain tools in that realm where people have persistent rooms. So they have a persistent meeting room that's always there. And if you want to connect to that meeting room, you can connect to it. And if there's somebody in that room, well, you can talk to them. And if they're not, then you're by yourself. And that is kind of basic, but it's a virtual meeting spot that uses live cameras and what we really look like. So that, I think that's kind of one flavor of multiverse. Probably the biggest metaverse, I think I said multiverse, Marvel. The biggest example of the metaverse today is Second Life. And Second Life is a kind of like a game, but it's not really a game. It's really a virtual world that you can log into, create an avatar for yourself, and then just go do stuff. And in this world, you can have pets and you can have property and you can build buildings and you can sell things and you can use crypto and all that kind of stuff. Gary asks, how long before we get ready to Ready Player One style? And I'm going to cover that in the last question, which is, what is the future of the metaverse? But as I was saying today, there are many different outlets. So Second Life, you can go create an account, create your avatar, and get going, and you play that on your PC. Interact on your PC. The MMOs that I spoke about, there are tons of them. I mean, there are many MMOs. World of Warcraft is still kicking around pretty hardcore. Decentraland is another, and that's kind of mixing things up with crypto a little bit. And crypto potentially could be a cryptocurrency, could be the money that's used inside of these virtual worlds. That's all kind of being formed now and being figured out and developed. Now, crypto's been around a long time too, not as long as the metaverse, because like I said, the metaverse has been, since the late 80s, early 90s kind of time frame. Crypto's been around, I don't know, 10 years, something like that, maybe 15. I cry because I remember those many Bitcoin I used to have sitting around that I traded for pizzas or something back in the day. And I if I had those, I wouldn't be doing this podcast now. I would be doing something else, maybe on the beach somewhere. But like I said, metaverse, if you want to jump in and do things today, you absolutely can. And that's going to segue into, how does Facebook fit into the metaverse? Because, all of the hoopla that's going around today, I think really has been kicked off by Facebook and the Oculus, and really their renaming of their company to Meta, and Facebook becoming a product of the company Meta, just like all of their other pieces, Instagram, et cetera, are now things that they make by the company Meta. So, Facebook is looking for ways to remain relevant. As you know, technology changes. And, if you roll the clock back, there used to be no Facebook, right? Then Facebook came around and it was the big thing. And Facebook's taken some knocks lately. One thing that is going to be constant, though, is change. And Facebook is not going to be around forever. No matter how much we like it or dislike it, it's going to come and go. And, some people say it's already on the go path. Who knows exactly how long these things stick around, but it won't be around forever. Now, it became the biggest and the best that has been, but there are other platforms out there that people enjoy today. And as technology changes and improves, Facebook is going to have to find a way to stay relevant. And I think they're leveraging the metaverse as a way to be relevant. So metaverse, maybe next version, social media. And also, Facebook jumped in a long time ago with Oculus, and that's a 3D headset. And there have been many iterations of that hardware already. And I think if you wanted to try that out, the Oculus Quest 2 is kind of the current version of the Oculus headset. You don't need a computer, but you do need a smartphone and Facebook to use it. But you can play games on it, and there's already metaverse-like worlds that exist inside of the Oculus gaming ecosystem. And the current one, the one that just released a few days ago, I think to everyone, is called Horizon Worlds. If I remember correctly, Horizon first came out as a meeting room style of tool, so everybody could sit down at their desk, they could put on their Oculus headset, they could connect to this virtual meeting room, and they could see avatars of each other and talk and that kind of stuff, right? Well, now the tool has been expanded into Horizon Worlds, and it is now more of a open universe for metaverse style interaction. Now, it's not super sophisticated yet, and personally, I've not been, from a social interaction point of view, very satisfied with any of the tools out there. But this is the next step down the path, and Facebook really wants to be associated with the metaverse. It's even in the name now, as I think the social media 2.0 platform, or maybe it's 3.0, or whatever the next gen social media is going to look like. They want to be in at the beginning and dictate really the conversation. Other companies exist, as I've said, Decentraland and particularly Second Life, but those are, you have to have a computer, and you're locked down to that computer-like experience. Whereas when you have an Oculus Quest on, it really changes the way that you interact, because you can move around and you can see things, and it's more of like a realistic experience as opposed to looking at a computer screen. So that's really how Facebook is inserting themselves into the conversation. Now, remember, like I said, none of this stuff is new. These concepts are not new. Facebook is not, developing some kind of brand new stuff that nobody's ever heard of that's like, oh my God. But there are things that will come that are pretty groundbreaking that we don't really have access to today. And so that's the final question. What is the future of the metaverse? So, it was commented just a minute before, how long before we get to Ready Player One? So if you guys haven't seen this movie, I recommend that you out and watch it, because this gives a glimpse of what a metaverse world could look like, right? So everybody's got a little headset. They're all lightweight. You just throw it on. They're untethered, meaning there's no cables. The batteries last forever, and then you can have this amazing experience and interact with everyone almost as naturally as if you were there in person with them. Nothing we have today is at that level of technology, but that's one version of a potential future metaverse. Now, what I think is even more interesting is the concept of augmented reality. And what augmented reality is just say you got a pair of glasses like these, right? And they look just like these, and they feel just like these, and you can't tell there's any difference. But in the arms and everything, there's technology. So the lenses are actually screens. So when you look at them, you can see things there. Sound can come out of the side, and there's all the connectivity to whatever kind of internet exists at the time frame that this technology could be developed. But what happens is when you look at the world, it can overlay additional things on top of the world so that you merge real physical reality with virtual reality, and that creates what's known as augmented reality. So just imagine you're walking down the road and you look at a building. Well, in reality, there's nothing painted on the building, but the owner has set up inside of the AR environment, ads and pretty things on the building, and they change artwork and the design and the look of the building. So you're there, you're seeing the real building, but it has this overlay on top of it that augments it, right? And adds a different look. Now, one thing that I would absolutely love is, in an augmented reality world, whenever I looked at someone, it would have their name under their face. So I can never forget another name, because I forget that people's names all the time. Techno Dad's like, I'm late. He's been DJing, and so this is another great example. Chana, let us know what platform that you're DJing on, because I think that's a really good example. And when you talk about the augmented reality piece, you can go to shows now, DJ sessions, and they give you a pair of headphones, and you go onto the dance floor, and there's really no music playing outside. It's just everything that's in headphones. So it's like a silent concert. and that's kind of metaversing. Now imagine if you all had your glasses on with augmented reality, and then you don't even have to dress up anymore, that you could just have the augmented reality show you in whatever outfit you wanted to be in, right? So you could look like a dinosaur, or you could look like a, I don't know, just, I can't even imagine, like a robot or whatever. It would be really, really interesting, right? So for me, augmented reality is going to be the next level uh, killer app for this tech. Um, Also, imagine you wanted to have a meeting, so you go sit down in a meeting room and you have your glasses on, and then you see the real images of people. It could, if they've got cameras set up, then you could see them appear in the room with you, almost like 3D holograms, but it would just be in your glasses. So that is, kind of the future of the metaverse today. Things are kind of ho hum, and it's okay. But as technology advances and the way that we're able to interact with computer peripherals becomes more sophisticated, particularly in ways that we can get images into our eyes, whether it's glasses or whatnot. And, when they get something in this form factor that's as lightweight as this is to wear, then it can become a ubiquitous technology. Every pair of sunglasses, every pair of glasses will get this technology built in. And there'll be cameras and everything, of course, because without cameras you can't do augmented reality, because it has to be able to see what's out there, to know what's there, and then put that back onto the image. So that opens up a whole nother set of questions and issues and privacy items and all kinds of stuff. So it's really an exciting time to be alive and to watch technology. Now, what I would really warn against is, there are people that jump to conclusions, and I've a number of people are like, the world's coming to an end. Oh my God, this metaverse is the harbinger of the end times, and I don't think so. I'm sure somebody said Pong is the harbinger of the end times. Lowell, you could have been the one bringing the world down. So you were so good at Pong. So, I wouldn't worry about that. Television, was the first step in all this stuff. And then we have movies and recorded video and cameras and video cameras, and the internet came around, and then we had chat and games, and then VR headsets came, and blah blah. So this is just the next iteration of technology. But that's, I think, in a nutshell, for folks that don't know, kind of a grounding in what the metaverse is, how you can interact with the metaverse today, and then what is the promise of the metaverse for tomorrow. And that's what I'm really particularly interested in. What is that metaverse, whether it's a fully virtualized 3D environment where you sit down in a room or stand up and you can interact with a headset, or whether it becomes more of an augmented reality scenario where you have a pair of glasses, and as you're out and about, you get additional information. Can you imagine Tinder in augmented reality world? So, you're not swiping left or right on images of people that aren't around. You're in a crowd and you're walking around, and as you look at someone, it pops up and it says, single, ready to mingle. Uh, and then you could tap to select, and then it'll give them a notification that you're interested, and then you light up to them in their vision, right? And then they can see you. So I'm creating this whole dating and hookup app right here live with us today. So the thoughts around this and the potential is just unlimited. There are all kinds of cool things can happen. And I think if you guys want to see something interesting, search YouTube for the name Xanadu. Okay, you do know who the original Xanadu character was. I can't think of her name, but I was in love with her when I was a kid. Man, roller skates. Dude, does this mean you're on roller skates when you're doing this? Oh, I love it. No, the blue avatar looking character, the guy has all the motion equipment attached to him, and he's got a metaverse show. So yeah, go check out this Xanadu guy and see what he's got going on. Lots of examples. And I'm going to cover more of this content over time, because like I said, this is a topic that I'm particularly interested in because it has a lot of real world applications outside of gaming that I think are going to be groundbreaking. So, stay tuned for that. And I think I'll cover Horizon Worlds a little bit more in depth in the next one of these. Now, if you want to dip your toes into a 3D world, I strongly recommend the Oculus Quest 2. It's not expensive. You don't need a PC. It's not tethered. It's really easy to deal with. I've got some setup videos you can check out. I've got links down below if you want to get some free games and stuff. So I think that's a great way to jump in. But I do think that it's still a larger headset. It's not as big as the ones that have all the, the super big graphics and all that kind of stuff. It's smaller than those, but it's still an early generation piece of tech. As this technology goes through additional generations, it's going to get smaller and smaller until it's something like this. But if you do want to try it out, jump in, grab one of those, give it a shot. At worst, you've got a cool game machine, and at best, maybe you've got a good way to facilitate meetings or something like that with your folks. So another thing, NFTs, so non-fungible tokens. This is another outgrowth of all of the cryptocurrency craze that's going on. So NFTs are a way that you can have ownership of digital assets. There's a big market for that kind of stuff right now. People are making a lot of money selling NFTs, and people are enjoying owning, the items that are traded with NFTs. So, that'll be another topic for another day. All right. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video when we pick up and talk about yet more metaverse, virtual reality, and all things forward looking with tech.